Have you ever wondered what life was like before supermarkets, before farms, before even a single garden? For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors lived as hunter-gatherers. Their lives were a constant search for sustenance, a rhythm dictated by the seasons and the migration of animals. This was a world of deep connection to nature, where every plant, every animal, every stream was a source of life. Imagine waking up not to an alarm clock, but to the first light of dawn. Your day's mission clear. Find food. Small, nomadic groups, usually extended families, would roam vast territories. The men might track game for days, their skills in archery and spear throwing honed over generations. They had an encyclopedic knowledge of animal behavior, footprints, and sounds. A successful hunt meant a feast for the clan, a celebration of survival, and precious resources, like hides for clothing and bones for tools. Nothing was wasted. Meanwhile, the women and children were the masters of the plant world. They knew which berries were sweet, which roots were nutritious, and which leaves could heal. This wasn't just casual picking. It was a science. They understood the life cycles of hundreds of plant species when they were ripe for the picking, and how to process them to remove toxins. They gathered nuts, seeds, fruits, and edible greens, providing a stable and reliable portion of the group's diet. This daily forage was also a classroom, where knowledge was passed down from mother to daughter, ensuring the survival of the next generation. Life as a hunter-gatherer was tough, no doubt. It was physically demanding, and the threat of starvation was ever present. But it wasn't the brutish, desperate existence we often imagine. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies suggest they actually had a surprising amount of leisure time once their daily needs were met. Their diets were incredibly diverse and healthy, far more varied than the average modern diet. They were intimately connected to their environment, living in a delicate balance with the world around them. For over 95% of human history, this was how we lived. This was the foundation upon which everything else was built. Then, around 12,000 years ago, in different parts of the world, something extraordinary began to happen. A shift so profound it would change the course of human history forever. We call it the Agricultural Revolution. It wasn't a sudden event, but a slow, gradual process that unfolded over thousands of years. It started small, perhaps with a simple observation. Maybe someone noticed that seeds dropped near a campsite sprouted into new plants. Maybe, during a time of scarcity, a group decided to experiment, deliberately planting the seeds of their favorite wild grains. In the Fertile Crescent, a region in the Middle East, people began cultivating wild wheat and barley. In China, it was rice and millet. In the Americas, it was corn, beans, and squash. This wasn't farming as we know it today. It was more like gardening, a supplement to their existing hunter-gatherer lifestyle. But this simple act of planting a seed had monumental consequences. For the first time, humans could create their own food source instead of just finding it. This new ability to produce food meant they didn't have to move around constantly. They could stay in one place, build more permanent homes, and watch over their crops. The first small villages began to form. This shift from a nomadic life to a settled or sedentary one was one of the most significant changes in our history. With settlement came new challenges and new innovations. People needed ways to store their harvested grain, protecting it from pests and moisture. This led to the development of pottery and granaries. They needed better tools to clear land, till the soil, and harvest crops. The polished stone axe, sickles, and grinding stones became essential items in the Neolithic toolkit. Farming was hard work, much harder and more time-consuming than foraging. So why did we do it? The answer is reliability and surplus. While farming was tough, it offered a more predictable food supply than the often boom-or-bust cycle of hunting and gathering. A successful harvest could feed more people and create a surplus extra food that could be stored for the future. This surplus was a game changer. It provided a safety net against famine and allowed the population to grow. As villages grew larger, they slowly transformed into towns, and eventually, the world's first cities. This surplus also had a profound social impact. For the first time, not everyone had to be directly involved in producing food. The stored grain could support people who specialized in other tasks. Potters, weavers, toolmakers, and builders emerged. A new social structure began to take shape. Leaders or chiefs might arise to manage the community's surplus, organize large labor projects like building irrigation canals, and resolve disputes. The concept of private property became more important. A patch of land, a harvest, a home, these were things to be owned and defended. Of course, the agricultural revolution wasn't a universal paradise. With larger, denser populations living in close quarters, diseases could spread much more easily. Dependence on a few staple crops made societies vulnerable. A single failed harvest due to drought or pests could be catastrophic. Diets often became less varied and nutritious than those of their hunter-gatherer ancestors, leading to new health problems. Social hierarchies developed, creating inequality between those who controlled resources and those who did not. Conflict over land and resources became more common. Yet, despite these drawbacks, the move towards agriculture was irreversible. It laid the groundwork for everything we consider civilization. The ability to create a food surplus allowed for specialization, which in turn fueled innovation. Writing was likely developed to keep track of stored grain and trade. Complex religions and governments emerged to organize and manage these larger societies. The path was set, leading from small farming villages to sprawling empires, from the polished stone axe to the silicon chip. So the next time you're in a grocery store, surrounded by an abundance of food from all over the world, take a moment. Think about that incredible journey. From the ancient hunter skillfully tracking his prey and the forager knowing the secrets of every plant, to the first farmer who dared to plant a seed and wait. This transition from gathering to growing wasn't just about food, it was about the transformation of humanity itself. A revolution that reshaped our planet and continues to shape our world today. It's a story of ingenuity, of risk, and of the enduring human drive to create a more stable future. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through history fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about how we got to where we are today. See you next time.